Hey guys, FourCourtJester here from HeroesFire, and I am talking to CyaSteve, the organizer of the first Kings of the Storm tournament. RIP, I gotta say, Steve.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted.
Our one and only tournament. But you gathered some good data. We saw some amazing matches. We had a big spike in traffic, actually, for the Twitch category as well as the Reddit because of all the postings and everything. So overall, your first tournament for this game. I know it's not your first tournament in general, though.
Correct. Yeah, this is nowhere near my first tournament. And I lost count a while ago. It's probably somewhere in the 160 range somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, I've done tournaments across a whole variety of games, some of which we've been involved with together.
Yeah, I'm aware of your League of Legends past, but
Yes.
What other games have you done in the past?
So League was one of my more recent ones, obviously, because it's a newer game. But I started on not Heroes, Halo.
Not
Halo,
Heroes, no.
Smash, Gears of War, a little bit of StarCraft, all kinds of stuff. I did a lot of Magic the Gathering stuff, like trading card games, you name it. I've probably done something with it. So it's fun.
The Kings of the Storm went over very smoothly, so we definitely saw that you had a lot of practice in dealing with this stuff. You were answering a lot of questions on the Reddit, so using all that experience, I mean, it looked very smooth. The Kings of the Storm.
Yeah, I can't complain. It was definitely one of the better events that I've ever run. That was a first time event. Especially not knowing any of the people. I was really worried that the bans and how the setup was gonna go. But it ended up going over pretty well, and people actually were able to submit data to me, and that's another thing that's kind of new to me, and I think a lot of players, they actually had to like take screenshots and send them in to me, and we were able to get some good data off it, so happy.
16 teams, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So you actually hit cap.
Yes, I actually had 17 teams, but obviously I'm not going to run a 32 bracket with 17 teams. So I told them that I was like, sorry, like if somebody drops, you can come in, but everybody did end up showing up on time, another basically first, and everybody played through their matches, and it was good.
So I'm just looking at this. I mean, it was capped at 16. You had 17 teams. That's more than I actually would have assumed was going to show up to this, because it is alpha. It is a reasonably low user base, and yeah, not everyone is really going to be aiming to be competitive in this game.
Yeah, I think when I went into it, like first couple of days, I had like 3 teams, and I was like, that's actually kind of high. Like
That's
first
15
2 days,
people right there.
yeah, I was like, wow, I already have 3 teams like signed up. I was like, okay, maybe I'll get an 8-team bracket. And then like 4 days later, which means we had like 5 days left before signups ended, and I was like, oh my god, I have 12 teams. Like, what is happening? And then like it stalled out for a little bit, and then the day came and we had a full bracket. And I was like, oh man, this is hype. I'm down for this. And so it was awesome. I was very excited to see how it was gonna go. I'm kind of terrified at the same time.
You
I
know,
always get those jitters.
some of the CMs actually just tweeted that they have a hype jar. So every time you say hype, you gotta put a donation in. So
All right, I
be
can get
careful
down with
around
that.
them CMs there. But there was a lot of hype actually generated about this. You are right. I mean, we did have a few teams in the beginning, but eventually you did actually feel. The last time I saw the brackets before we actually went live, you had kind of a staggered system. I think you had 12 teams.
Yes, I had. There was 4 teams that I'd advised. So in the 16 bracket, that's gonna happen if you only have 12 teams. And it confused a lot of people at first. I was like, guys, don't worry, the brackets are gonna get reset. We're gonna be doing something else. Don't worry. And we didn't even have any buys because full bracket. So it ended up working out really well.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm very happy to see the success in this initiative. I know Blizzard says they don't want to have these big things, but you did address that. You did go forward and you did it with their blessings, and they allowed it obviously. But now, of course, custom games ripped today.
It's okay. I mean, for technical reasons, they took them out. So
Alpha is alpha.
I can't.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, we're in alpha. I can't fault them for it. It's their game. They're still working on it, and the fact that we can even play it right now is pretty awesome. So it is what it is.
So let's talk a little bit about how the games actually went. I believe it was best of 3. You already had static map rotation set up, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And
different map selection.
1 ban per team.
Yes. So 1 ban per team draft.
Who had first pick and first ban?
So the bracket was generated with random seeding,
Right.
And the team that was given a higher seed per round, at least in first round, was the team that would get first pick, first ban. And I think eventually it just ended up being everybody just adopted that the team with the higher seed just took first pick, first ban, which is fine. And then if you lost the game, then you got first pick, first ban on the next map. So that's how that went. And then it went with the standard draft of first pick, first ban, second ban, first pick on one team, and then two picks back and forth until there's only one left.
The ABA.
Yeah, AB.
Yep.
Yeah, so that went over actually a lot smoother than I thought it was. I had to answer maybe 2 teams on how it worked, and they were really new to the scene, but they picked it up really quickly, and it kind of ran through. The only thing that sort of hung us up was that there was a little bit of a time delay. Some teams were taking a really long time to draft, and I mean that's to be expected for the first event, where people have no idea what they want to run for comps or anything.
Right.
They're just kind of like figuring things out. And it's also this has to be the first event where we didn't have double picks. I mean, it's the only event, so it's obviously the first event, but I don't think many people were really used to not having the ability to play mirror matches in the game. Like, you couldn't have 2 stitches in a game.
And that kind of goes back to, I can definitely appreciate the issues that you run into there, going all the way back to the League of Legends days, where they didn't have any of that either. Like, we kind of duplicating that into this, because we only got the custom, we don't have any kind of drafting, there's no spec mode. A lot of similarities right there. But, you know, more or less, what was the kind of time limit that you had to implement, or did you just kind of let them feel it out themselves?
For the most part, I let them go, and then like one team came up to me and they were like, "Hey, this is taking a really long time for them to do drafts. Do we have like is there a thing we can say?" I was like, "All right, well, just tell them they have 1 minute per round of draft, and then you're good to go." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, that sounds great." And they went through with it, and it seemed to work out. I didn't hear any more complaints for the rest of the day. The only thing that ever did happen in terms of time constraints was there was one game where players were disconnecting before they actually got into the game, so they had to restart a couple of times.
I think I actually watched one of those. That was Zoya. Definitely had at least one game like that.
Zoya's client, for whatever reason, is always kind of buggy, and the other one was D-Day
Raisin.
Yeah, D-Day Raisin D or something. And yeah, he had a couple of issues with his client, but none of them actually affected the games themselves. So it went over pretty well. We got really lucky in that regard. Knock on wood. Hopefully it stays with us.
Well, overall, I think that the tournament had a big impression on the community, and you even took the time to compile some data for us. And looking at some of the data, there is a Reddit thread out there, guys, hosted here by CyaSteve. And Raynor was kind of like the big hot item in this tournament.
Yeah, he had basically 93% either pick or ban rate in the tournament over 27 games. So he was picked or banned 25 times.
25 out of 27.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And for notables, Kerrigan, Tassadar right up there at 24. So I mean, it's not just Raynor, but Raynor was the big one to receive the brunt of the bans. He took 19 bans out of 27 games. So. By
far the leader of the bans.
Oh yeah,
when
definitely.
It came to that, 6 picks, 19 bans for a total of 25. That also tells me that 2 games he wasn't actually even talked about.
Yeah, he went unbanned, unpicked for 2 of the games, and still not really sure why, because each one of those games had like a Vala or something in them that a Raynor is pretty much always better, but maybe they just didn't feel comfortable on him. Who knows?
Or maybe they possibly didn't even own them, because we do have to buy heroes in this current alpha.
I think Raynor is free in general right now, right? I think they did that. I don't know. Maybe they finally switched over to practice, but regardless, that is a certain possibility. I'm not too sure on that.
But to accompany Raynor, Kerrigan, Tassadar, Uther was up there as well, and Falstad, another big mobile kind of champion, especially with the bribe nerfs now going into effect. We'll have to see, on your next tournament if that hits the pick ban rate at all. But Malfurion, Illidan, Vala, it's very close all the way up until about halfway through, where Stitches kind of hits the 50% mark, down all the way to Muradin at the 7% mark.
Yeah, Muradin, he got picked twice total out of 27 games.
0 bans.
0 bans. He just nobody felt like he was really worth playing. I think, if I remember off the top of my head, I believe he won both of the games that he was in, but he just wasn't picked very often.
The ban rate wasn't, or the win rate actually wasn't reflected on the data that you collected.
Right. We're slowly working at that, because we have to cross-reference a bunch of games to make sure that we get our stats right.
I wonder if that's like hidden OP then. Not picked, but 100% win rate?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just comp dependent. Like you have to know what's going on, and it really depends on what the other team picked for their comp. Like Merriden's a really good pickup against an ETC or somebody that needs to be basically constantly CC'd. Meriden can get in there and do that kind of role.
The data really didn't, bring up too many surprises, I thought, but I do remember when the game came out, I was always like, Abathur, Uther, Raynor, like top 3, you put any combination of those 2 together and you basically have a really strong comp out of that. And 2 of those 3 did survive. Abathur kind of fell way into the bottom, picked 3 times, banned once for a total of 4 games participation. But, Raynor did just get a little bit of nerf with the latest patch. Illidan going forth with his Metamorphosis, health nerf a little bit as well. And then the Bribe going to be affecting Falstad, as well as Stitches and anyone else that does have the Bribe going forth. So it would be very interesting to see, picks and bans from Tournament 1 to Tournament 2 to Tournament 3 whenever those do occur.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a blessing in disguise here that we won't have custom games for an undetermined amount of time. Because we have this initial data, so we know what we're looking at right now, and now we're gonna have a pretty sizable, well, I'm guessing a pretty sizable amount of time for people to kind of feel the meta out and like kind of let the game shift in a certain direction, and then when we get that next set of data, we'll be able to look back and be like, wow, things really changed, or they're just like, nope, they didn't change at all, they're exactly the same. So it's being able to look back on this is going to be great, I think, and it'll let us kind of have a benchmark to see what happened.
I wonder if it'll be like one event where you see Zeratul finally taking a Void Prison instead of a Shadow Assault, or if it's going to be an incremental amount of changes. But congratulations on your first tournament, sir. We're looking forward to more. We did a news post here on HeroesFire as well, alluding to your successes, and all the best for the upcoming ones.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I definitely look forward to it, and I plan on running pretty much as many as I can. I'm definitely, when customs come back, I know some people couldn't make it on weekends, so I'm gonna try to run some during the week as well. Not really sure how I'm gonna be able to format that, but keep an eye out for that.
I'm gonna keep an eye out for the spectator mode, which we will talk again, sir.
Oh yeah.
All right, thanks so much for your time, dude, and keep on out there.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.